Dear viewers, welcome to today's show. How is Emily selling a painting as a token over the internet? And how will blockchain save the world? These things we're discussing today with my guest, Niharika Singh. Hi Niharika, it's great having you on our digital TV.
Super nice to be here, Claudio.
So Niharika, you were the technical product manager at Dara, and now you're the technical product manager at Safe, which is known for its wallet. But maybe tell us a bit more about what it is.
Yeah, for sure. So Safe, as you said correctly, is primarily known for its wallet. But I would also say that it has another arm, which is very relevant, which is the Safe Core. And I work with the Safe Core side, and our job there is to build developer tooling for account abstraction, which will onboard the next billion users to blockchain. So we are simplifying the way a user would get onboarded to blockchain, how they would transact on blockchain, and also how they might want to do some off-ramping from the blockchain. So your entire life cycle in this smart account ecosystem is being simplified by account abstraction. And Safe, for sure, is a leader in account abstraction space.
So that's a bit the holy grail that everybody is looking for, how to simplify the usability of blockchain technology.
For sure.
And that means that I don't need a seed phrase anymore, these kind of things?
Yeah, like with the smart accounts, you would have to transact the way you usually do. It's just that the magic part comes, that you don't have to worry about writing your private keys anymore or your seed phrases. You don't even have to worry about paying gas yourself anymore. You don't have to worry about, oh, I lost access to my wallet, I need recovery. That's also possible. And if you just want to attach programmable code to your accounts, for example, if you want to automate transactions on your account, that's also possible. And this is all possible because of smart accounts. So
automating transaction on your account, like I could say, I want to have an investment plan.
Yes.
And the wallet invests $10 automatically every month into a pre-specified product if, I don't know, certain limits on the market are achieved or something like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. You can even dollar cost average, like every month on the first, I want to invest 500 francs in, I don't know, ETF, or not an ETF, but like a token of representing S&P 500. That's possible. And for your viewers who are interested in reading more about this, I would recommend them checking out ERC 7579, which is making these smart accounts modular. So you can import these modules, for example, which is the programmable code, and you can set these limits every month or every second, however you want to program it. And there are many, many more possibilities of creating your own modules as well.
Wow, so we're going from smart contracts to smart accounts with smart people.
For sure.
Very good. Let's maybe take a step back. You got into blockchain a while ago. What drove you into blockchain? What fascinates you most about it?
So I think it was like back in 2016, 17 when I first stumbled upon it. It was like in a YouTube TED talk. I believe it was titled Demystifying Blockchain. And there the speaker talked about how you can truly be sovereign on internet. Meaning that what it truly means to own something, what it truly means to be private or anonymous is, I think the credit goes to blockchain for that. And if I talk about some real world examples, I would say on a macro or geopolitical point of view, I would say like some countries, they have reserves out of their country for several reasons, like security and mitigating other risks. But if something goes wrong, there's nothing stopping the other country to seize assets of that country, right? And some people might think that's okay, but truly in the sense of ownership, that's not. And likewise, like for you and me, if we are on a platform and we get blocked out for whatever reason, I don't want to name any platform, but it's possible that they would censor you. And this should not happen. Nobody should take away your right to speech. And I think blockchain promises that with its amazing new on-chain apps, that you will not be censored. And the developers and the researchers are very much proactively ensuring that there's no censorship on-chain.
So it gives you an element of independence and self-sovereignty. It's almost a bit a democratic element, like, for instance, we have here in Switzerland.
For sure. Like, I think Switzerland is super ripe for crypto. With the Swiss DLT laws already so mature in this space, I think it's in an amazing position for everybody who wants to be doing something with their assets.
Okay, well, great to also have great minds from outside of Switzerland coming here and further helping us develop the ecosystem. So now let's dive into the topic of tokenization. We hear so much about tokenization. Everybody talks about it, but few people actually understand technically smart contracts, minting, all these expressions. How exactly does tokenization work? Can you explain that in simple words?
Yeah, for sure. Maybe I can storytell this to you. So consider there's a girl named Emily. She's like an art lover and she has a gallery somewhere in Zurich, super nice. And she recently purchased a new centerpiece for her gallery. Let's say it's valued at about 5 million francs. And she has a vision to make that centerpiece more accessible to the world. So Emily, like super into tech as well, like me, she goes to this tech conference and hears about tokenization. And people are talking about how real world assets ownership can be transformed into digital tokens. And then she thought, okay, this might be it. And then she consults her special lawyers who specialize in DLT laws in Switzerland. And they said, yeah, for sure, we can do this. Like, let's tokenize this painting. So she's on board. She has clearance and backing from these lawyers and the law in Switzerland. And that's when she turns to a technical provider. And this technical provider essentially types out the smart contract which represents a fractional ownership of that painting into tokens. So let's say they create 100,000 tokens of that painting and they sell each of them for 50 francs. So Emily posts this on her website, her gallery website, and proposes an initial token offering. And everybody's very excited about it. All the art enthusiasts around the world are very excited about it and they purchase it. And what that means is now these investors have access to an amazing piece of history. And some are also in it because they think that it might value more in some time. So you have your culture and your finance coming together, right? And what does Emily do with this fund that she raised, technically from an enlarged pool of investors? She enhances her gallery, she gets more centerpieces, she plans more campaigns, and other galleries in the world get inspired from Emily and do the same. So I think the power of tokenization, as you see, is like it brings people together from around the world, increasing liquidity, increasing the pool size, and everybody is happy to have share in a very specific art, or they are in it for, for the gains or pumping their bags.
That's a very interesting example and almost a business case. Could I maybe double down on the tech piece that you mentioned? So she has the lawyer who can probably describe the smart contract in a legal form, and she has the tech platform which can transfer that contract onto the blockchain. Where exactly is the smart contract? Where exactly is the token? What is the smart contract? Almost a bit like the printing press for these tokens, or can you explain that in the technological process behind it?
For sure. So you put it quite nicely, actually. The smart contract or the blockchain is like a printing engine of the token. It was up to Emily to decide how many tokens does she want to fragment the painting in? She could have also gone with like 1 million tokens, but 100,000 probably seemed reasonable to her. So if I drive you through the life cycle, what happens first is that you have an asset. You select which blockchain do you want to tokenize that asset on. And there are several blockchain platforms out there. And there are several parameters based on which you would select which blockchain. If you prioritize security, or if you prioritize interoperability, or if you prioritize being permissioned, that narrows down the set of options. So let's say Emily wants to be like super interoperable as well as secure. So she goes with the Ethereum blockchain. And then the technology provider, the developers, they adhere to specific standards. And since Emily has to comply with the Swiss laws, there's already a well-established framework, the CMTAT, which is essentially an ERC20 smart contract adhering to the Swiss DLT law. So it automatically is compliant with the laws here. And you configure how many tokens, the name of the token, the initial price of the token, and you deploy the contract on Ethereum. And as soon as it's out there, people or investors would be permissioned to mint tokens in exchange for whatever the gallery, Emily's gallery, is wishing to accept. It could be ETH, it could be USDC, or any other ERC token as well. So ultimately, in exchange of another asset, you're getting a piece of that painting.
And who is releasing? Is this the smart contract releasing the asset token versus the money token?
Yes, it does. It is basically programmed. It's not like a real token that any investor is getting. It's a number that's just minted through thin air, and which is backed by the valuation of the painting. It's not like creating money out of thin air, but yes, it's backed by the valuation of the painting. But yes, it's coming from the contract itself.
So the token is more kind of an abstract picture of an information of ownership.
Exactly, exactly. As long as you have that token, you can prove that you have a stake in that painting.
Okay, and so the smart contract is on the blockchain.
Right.
And where's the token now?
The token is also an entry on the blockchain. So each time you are minting or creating a token, it emits events on chain. And that means that the number of tokens in circulation increases by plus X. So ultimately, these tokens are also just entries on the ledger and nothing more than that.
And what is in the wallet?
There's nothing in the wallet, technically. Technically, the only thing that's stored in a regular non-smart account wallet is your private key. Your wallet only stores private key, and it keeps referring to on-chain to check how many assets are associated with your public key.
Yeah, so actually all of the ownership data is on the blockchain layer.
Yes, nothing is it's not in your wallet that you can see, okay, these are my tokens, not at all.
Okay, very, very interesting. I think we could probably go on about all the details of how then transactions are signed, etc., with these keys, etc. But let's maybe talk a bit about, so this was now Emily. So what advice would you give our viewers if they wanted to tokenize an asset? How should they go about it?
Yes, similar to what Emily did. First, know what you want to tokenize and if it should be tokenized at all. And let's assume that it should be. You should be very well acquainted with the regulatory space wherever you're tokenizing it. If you're in Switzerland, you're blessed that you're already having these Swiss DLT laws. But if not, then God help you. So now you have your regulatory backing. Next is to choose the chain. If it's a very security sensitive matter, for example, capital markets, you should go with a chain which is sufficiently decentralized and secure. Then you select which standard you want to use, deploy your smart contract with, which is commonly ERC20 plus some bells and whistles, which is CMTAT. And then you open it up to a pool of investors who can make requests to the smart contract. And on the other end, the smart contract is basically writing additional entries to the ledger.
And what type of assets do you foresee are the most likely to be tokenized in the field? Which type of assets can profit the most from tokenization?
So I think like assets which are inherently a bit illiquid in nature, or which trade in a very fragmented market space, are a great fit for tokenized assets. So if I give you a few examples, one, well, we already saw art. Well, the other would be private equity and venture capital. So the investors, they have like a increased liquidity or through a secondary market or market makers, where they can potentially even sell their private equity in real time whenever they want, which is so far not possible. And for the SMEs, they have an access to a greater pool of investors who are willing to invest in their companies. So it's kind of a win on both ends. Another example would be like carbon credits. Like a carbon credit essentially represents a reduced amount of CO2 or equivalent greenhouse gas by, I think, 1 metric ton in the atmosphere. And it's generated by whenever an organization is doing efforts such as reforestation or any other thing which reduces carbon emission by that amount. So right now that market is super fragmented. But if it's on chain, if it's coming together with the secondary market, there's an increased pool of liquidity where the companies can either purchase those carbon credits, or these organizations could sell those carbon credits in a more streamlined way. And finally, I think, which is super powerful, is your personal data. So imagine there's a medical research lab which wants human data. So you have your token, and this token is a representation of your anonymized private health data. And each time this token is consumed by, let's say, a medical imaging or any other experiment that's being conducted, you are getting compensated each time. So in your wallet, you would see, you getting compensation each time anything's done with your data. So I think it's like a new economy opens up each time assets are tokenized.
That's very interesting. So I make money while I sleep.
For sure.
With my own data.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So could one say, I'd like to abstract that, through blockchain, we can standardize all these contracts and markets and put them all kind of on a plain level field. So because of that, they become more liquid through the standardization and through the connectivity that the internet is providing. Yeah,
through like the sheer means of not censoring, the sheer means of being more democratic and open and permissionless. You allow your borders to come down and enable more people to access that same pool.
That's very interesting and exciting to think about the future. So we're already at the end of our discussion, unfortunately. Let's take a quick look into the future. So apart from selling your own data, what are you most excited about in this for the second half of 2024? So I don't know if you'll agree with me or not, but like AI is making so much buzz, creating amazing content, indistinguishable, right? If it's an actual human or not, like deepfakes, so common. I think like the convergence of AI with blockchain would occur where you have to give a proof of humanness. Like you have a deepfake, but you don't know if it's true or not. So ideally you would attest it and push it on the ledger, and you would always know if something is authentically from you or if it's just created by a robot out there.
So I'm super excited about proof of humanness, and I think WorldCoin is working on that. Amazing company. Beyond this, I'm also super excited about quantum computing. Like new stuff is happening like on a very regular basis, and not just like in the field of cryptography, but also like it opens up realms of new drug discovery. Because you have more computing power, efficient computing, you can do your research better. And who knows, we find cure to so many diseases, and eventually increase our longevity. Or another thing could be like renewable energy. Like I'm also very, very excited about that. Like not just about cars being run on electricity or power grids being smart, but combating environmental change as well. So with so much happening around us, I think like it's truly the best time to be alive, to be building in this space, and to witness all this happen.
Wow, that sounds like an amazing year for you, and probably also for our viewers who want to follow all your content. Where can they do that?
So I would encourage your viewers to check out my personal website. It's at niharika.me. And there I have linked to all my socials or my email. And I quite frequent to a bunch of meetups in Zurich, or also other Web3 conferences that keep happening around the world.
Many thanks, Niharika, for these interesting thoughts, and hope to have you back here soon again.
Thanks for having me. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Dear viewers, I hope you enjoyed this content, and we'll bring even more of such topics. And we hope to have you soon back again. If you click on the follow sign, then you will always get notified about news from our side. Thank you, and all the best.